A sensational musical group back again for you. Black Oak, Arkansas.
And nasty.
Once again, please welcome Black Oak.
Of rock bands can increase blood pressure, bring about birth defects, including mental retardation.
Went into a convulsion and started screaming, naughty, 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 Natas, Natas, Natas. I'll play that for you.
I was high and ready to blow.
Black Oak, Arkansas is a band that come out of the hills of Arkansas.
When my brother was kid, where we often went and hid, neath the backyard cellar, neath the feet of my mother.
There were 6 teenagers that got together, the original 6, and they made a blood pact, actually at a dirt road, like in Crossroads, like Rocky Johnson, that they were going to be a rock and roll band and stay together forever.
Jim Dandy was actually born James Mangrum, and his daddy nicknamed him Jim Dandy after a famous gambler, saloon, riverboat gambler type fellas of the South.
I was standing up in the 4th grade saying what I wanted to be when I grow up, and they said, yes, I wanted Elvis Presley's job. It looked like he was having a good time. I wanted to do that. They all laughed at me, made me go out of the room crying and everything. And they were part
That's what Clinton said about you.
Yeah, right.
Dear Bill.
And I didn't inhale either, okay? As long as we say the same lie, everything's fine.
Fellow Arkansas native Bill Clinton said once that if he could have any other job besides being president, he'd want to be a front man in a rock and roll band. He said he'd like to be Jim Dandy.
The guys got together and taught themselves to play their instruments, and then they decided they need to be a little bit louder. So they decided to rip off a PA system from their local high school, as well as 8 microphones. And then they tried to trade a Bell & Howell tape recorder for a bass amp, and they got caught. And they figured out they could have been sentenced to 22 years between them in one of the toughest southern prisons. But their parents got them suspended sentences, and they ended up just on probation.
He was also made up the plans of as many capers as I did when we got busted for grand larceny. And he, I was not. Well, from then on, yes, I have been the ringleader. I am the ringleader, because I earned it then. When everybody said, it's his. And I said, what's mine? And Pat Doherty said, well, what is? And he said, I don't know him. I don't know who he is.
They signed in 1969 with Stax Records, which was a real highly respected southern label. And it was a departure for Stax, because they were primarily known for R&B, soul acts. And along comes Black Oak, or nobody else at that time. And it was a really unique thing for Stax to do, and it was a unique sound for Stax.
The guys were still on probation from their PA heist when they got their first record deal, and so it was a while they were held stateside before they could go to Europe. And when they finally went to London, there hadn't been such a culture clash since Tarzan came to New York.
The band's big break, probably the biggest break, they got signed by Ahmet Ertegun, who was the president of Atco Atlantic. And Stax was a part of the Atco Atlantic group. He saw them at the Whiskey A Go-Go, loved them, and basically promoted them to the big leagues. The guy who turned Ahmet on to Black Oak was an entertainment lawyer, Jerome Cohen. He represented Black Sabbath at the time, and it was actually his idea that changed the band's name to Black Oak, Arkansas, which was sort of an attempt to tie in the band's real heavy sound with the Sabbath sound.
I'll introduce you, you introduce me, and we'll both introduce Pat.
Well, I'll introduce you, you introduce Pat. You introduce me, then you introduce...
The original lineup, the band that played on the debut album Black Oak, Arkansas, was Jim Dandy Mangrum, vocals, washboard. There was Pat Dirty Daugherty, one of the better nicknames. He played bass.
Bob Dylan talked about, man with the 2 skin hat said he wants $10 $10 bills, he's gonna got you. No, Tony,
Bob
Bob
Dylan.
Something else in blues. He's talking about him in there. He sings with him. Yeah. He also wrote about me too in Handy Dandy.
Ricky Ricochet Reynolds was on 12-string guitar, really amazing 12-string guitar rhythm player.
Ricky came from California from going to school there. He'd been born in Manila, which is not too far from Blago. But he came back and, of course, he was by then a marine biologist. And he'd been in California and he knew the surfers. And the Beach Boys, and his hair was like longer than mine, but it looked more like the Beach Boys. It wasn't, mine was still pissed him off more, I don't know why. Oh, he made better grades, I forgot.
Stanley Goober Knight, guitar. Harvey Jett was the other guitarist, a lot of guitars in this band. He was called Burley. And the drummer at the time was Wayne Evans, who I think they called Squeezebox. And he was replaced by Tommy Aldrich, who was just an amazing rock and roll drummer. He went on to drum with Ozzy Osbourne, another guy that's kind of renowned for his satanic ties. And I think he's with Nugent now. And even Thin Lizzy, he plays a little bit with Thin Lizzy. So it's a hell of a lineup. It's a good lineup.
But these fellows have polluted minds and hearts and souls of people. And they have allowed...
Black Oak, Arkansas is Jim Dandy. I don't know what Black Oak, Arkansas is, but Jim Dandy. Take him out of the equation, what do you got?
They're in the sticks and they like to rock, and that's all they need.
Their music is just that swamp. It's that swamp fucking grab you by the balls and go on with it.
These some bitches were down there in the hills just kicking the shit out of it.
So it was Jim and like Daisy, because all I noticed about the drummers, he had like a double bass drum kit, you know, before Motorhead.
Their stylings were very defined before anybody even coined the term Southern rock.
And these guys gave the first tour to Kiss, to Skynyrd. Cheech and Chong actually opened for them. The Eagles did some of their first shows with them.
They were an undiscovered continent before the maps got made.
Some of these early 70s bands, like when, you know, people had really let their freak flag fly and, you know, they were growing their hair real long.
My daddy said I could have long hair, and he didn't care how long I got, as long as I kept it clean.
Every member in the band, you know, their hair was at least a foot, you know, or two long.
One day he came in as I was taking a bath in the bathroom. He says, well, I know what I said, but you got to cut your hair. It's causing trouble in my bedroom. And I ain't gonna have it no more. All of a sudden I'm feeling mixed. I'm feeling weird because he said talking about his bedroom with my mama. And then he also talking about my hair, and he says, you can leave or you can cut your hair. That's your I was gone.
He had long hair when they thought the Beatles had long hair.
The Beatles came out, that's when they had like a Caesar cut. It was like not even long as mine was, by accident.
Right here, people, we've all been swimming in quicksand at some time or another. We know how to get out. Quicksand hole and give out a hearty yell. You suddenly feel more determined than you have ever felt. Maybe you should be real still. Just make yourself sink through. If you swim hard enough, you can get it out.
He's no Pavarotti, but Pavarotti couldn't do what he did.
Jim Dandy is Southern Rock. Southern Rock is Jim Dandy.
He's the man.
Jim Dandy was a raging freak.
I think Jim Dandy is the quintessential front man.
His legend is kind of perpetuated itself to where you actually might know more about him now when you get dead.
Jim Dandy was the first rock star.
From the power I possess, I can see through the maze. I can see man's progress.
The harder you jump off a drum riser and hit the floor in them splits, the better it looks, easier it is to come back up. You gotta have the nerve to hit that stage with the balls, come back looking great. But everybody can just have the nerve. That's everybody's problem. Go ahead, and I got to where I liked it.
I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. When the water is rising, tell me where you gonna go. When the dams are all busting and it's flooding down.
This was a pretty famous cover if you were a kid. Everybody had that album. And of course this had Jim Dandy to the Rescue, which was their only and highest chart-topping hit. And the interesting thing about that is the song was offered to Elvis first, the president, of course. And Elvis kind of knew of the band, he was familiar with the band, and he knew Jim Dandy was Jim Dandy. So he suggested that they record it. And the rest is cracker history.
I met Elvis on the telephone first, many years before that, and he told him and George Klein said he had an idea of doing Jim Dandy the Rescue. Almond Erdogan swears that him and Nessler Erdogan thought of it only a few weeks before that, and we were going to bring it up. They couldn't believe it when we said we wanted to do it. Tom Dowd was producing us at the time, which all didn't come from back in when Laverne Baker had done it. We never heard of the song. We were coming from Arkansas. They hardly even played country music in Arkansas back then, you know?
Sitting on a mountain top, 30,000 feet to cry. Spider lady on a runaway horse. That's right, of course. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Go Jim Dandy, go Jim Dandy. One day I met a girl named Sue. She was feeling a kind of blue. I'm Dandy, the kind of guy can't stand to see a little girl cry. Jim Dandy to the rescue. 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 Go Jim Dandy, go! I was sitting on the submarine, got a message from a mermaid queen. She was hanging on a fishing line. This Dandy didn't waste no time. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Go Jim Dandy, go Jim Dandy. Once upon a time I went to Maine, got a ticket on a DC plane. This Dandy didn't need no shoes. I was high and ready to move. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Go Jim Dandy, go Jim Dandy. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Jim Dandy to the rescue. Oh, go Jim Dandy, go Jim Dandy.
rednecks with a band.
The reality of it is guys from like Eddie Hinton, Dan Penn, you know, Steve Cropper.
You just got a bunch of great bands that just happen to be from the south of the USA, and they rock and roll. You know, Elvin Bishop, the Outlaws, all those boys.
They took the Iron Butterfly and Johnny Cash, and they threw it in the blender with a little bit of sour mash and came up with what they came up with.
White Soul in the 60s, you know, those rockabilly things.
Then you got rock and roll bands that are on the fringe, like Southern Culture on the Skids, Kentucky Headhunters, Flat Dual Jets, and then of course, you know, Kid Rock is still carrying the torch for the Dandy Man's day.
I love Kid Rock. I think he's kind of cool. I don't want to excuse that ever again, though.
Anything from that part of the country and that close to Memphis, you know, you're gonna have all the aspects of rock and roll, blues, and Jim Dandy was able to roll it all up, put the twist on it, smoke it for the country.
They were in the South and rocking before there was Southern rock.
The great thing about Southern rock is the double guitars, always like two guitars, you know, guitar versus guitar. The lengthy outros that just kind of go off into the night. I always like that good 70s slow fade.
It's just balls out rock and roll, and you know, it's the cliche: sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
The style of the music pretty much defined by the geography.
Southern rock is it's really a mindset, and it's something that you can't really do unless you're born there. You know, you got to be born south of Mason-Dixon to really try to even feel it.
I was born in Benton Harbor, Michigan. I'm both, and I'm neither. I don't believe in the Mason-Dixon line. I don't believe in the county line, or county sheriffs especially. What a piracy. You told me to stay a song and dance man. Well, I'm not just a song and dance man, but I do love song and dance, and I don't think Baptists are right to not let you dance. Don Curtis.
They influenced everybody.
The grunge metal scene, the whole Seattle scene, all of that pretentious marbles in your mouth, you know, snake handling, evangelist preacher stuff, that all started with Jim Dandy.
Oh, we're all ripping off Black Oak, Arkansas.
He inspired me to wear fucking ankle, foot-high knee boots.
To say you're not, you know, it's like not crediting your mom with your life.
The way he dressed, you know, kind of influenced, you know, people to wear like those knee-high Indian boots with the fringe on them, you know, like moccasin boots and stuff, you know, and the fringe jackets. And
I wore spandex and all this stuff, and I really did like the attention come from Black Oak.
It inspired all the hair bands, Axl Rose, Vince Neil, Jackal, all the metal bands of today.
Without Black Oak, Arkansas, there's no Skinner, there's no 38 Special, there's no Molly Hatchet.
Critics didn't really know what to call them back then. At one point, a critic actually was quoted as calling them a punk band.
We were a punk band.
He influenced me to steal when I was but a wee little cotton picker, I guess. I mean, not to take anything away from David Lee Roth.
He knew how to go just do it without even being inspired. But I still say yes, he was Shecky Green of rock and roll. And when Van Halen had David, they had a sense of humor.
Because he's great also, but I have to think that David Lee Roth took a bunch of his stuff from Jim Dandy. I have too. I mean, you know, you can't help it.
I didn't steal nothing from Elvis, and he didn't steal nothing from me. It wasn't ours to own, to give away, we got it for free. They can have it for free.
Jim Dandy knew how to please the crowd, especially the ladies, and he knew how to work them into a frenzy.
Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, oh what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. I laughed at love cause I thought it was funny. You came along and moved me, honey. I changed my mind, this looks fine. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Dandy's reputation with the women back in the heyday of the group was legendary.
I met him in a strip club, so a place called Platinum Plus in Memphis.
And this dude comes walking in. He's in these boots that go up to his thighs, and they're white.
See me in Platinum Plus with the Memphis Blues any given night. I'm so sad. It's tough being Jim Dandy.
Those are high dollar holes down there.
And I'm like, who is this freak? And he's like, that's Jim Dandy. And I said,